that I would root out mortgage fraud and that I would ensure that there's safety and soundness in the mortgage market.
Push her out. We can't leave her alone. Push.
Lisa Cook's cooked. Did she cook the books? Or is this a power play at the Federal Reserve? Trump reaches in to fire one of its members, and that will give him significantly more control.
It certainly looks to me, and I think it looks to almost everybody, like a fishing expedition. It wasn't just Lisa Cook.
I think no matter what your societal status, you should not would unfortunately mean the very worst for those who have the very least.
But it takes an axe to fed independence and will make life far more expensive for American families.
I'm Tucson Tom, a licensed real estate agent here in the state of Arizona. I'm here to educate on all things that touch real estate and how it might affect you. Today I've got quite an interesting story. Let's dig into it. Recently, the Supreme Court ruled that Trump and his administration could fire people at the Federal Reserve Board with cause.
Though a lot of discussion centers on the legal meaning of cause.
It's clear that Trump wants to have more control over interest rates and the Federal Reserve as a whole. A young Mayor Rothschild once said, "Give me control over a nation's money supply, and I do not care who makes the laws." Trump says he wants to lower interest rates in order to spare the federal government from its impending trillions of dollars of deficit debt and higher interest rates for that. Currently, the U.S. deficit is at $37 trillion. While in office, the president gets to appoint his own members to the Federal Reserve Board whenever somebody leaves. I don't think it's a stretch, therefore, to think that perhaps the Trump administration has been keeping a close eye on the people that they want.
Get out of my house, fucker.
Get out of here.
Get him out of here.
Get out of here. Get out!
Last month, we had somebody resign without explanation. Lisa Cook is now been terminated, and the end of Jerome Powell's term is coming up. This is going to give Trump 3 seats to get to appoint his own people to in the coming year. That will give him significantly more control over the Federal Reserve's interest rates, given that he is going to appoint people that typically agree with him. It seems that the economy on a whole takes Trump's control over the Federal Reserve to be a negative thing in terms of stability. We have a very strong credit rating here in the U.S., and while that's declined recently, this is attributed to the independence of the Federal Reserve from the government and the ability to always pay our debts back.
Also, and maybe more importantly,
this independence between the Federal Reserve and the government is being questioned when Trump reaches in to fire one of its members, and that is affecting the 10-year yields and confidence in long-term U.S. viability. And a collapse of the U.S. dollar and debt system would unfortunately be the very worst for those who have the very least. And it's for that reason I have to be rooting against the system collapsing, whether or not I agree with it. That leads us to the questions: is she guilty? Does it matter? What is mortgage fraud? Well, first off, let's understand what is mortgage fraud. And in this specific case, what is occupancy fraud? Occupancy fraud occurs when the mortgage borrower lies to the bank about his or her intention to occupy the home that he or she is purchasing with the mortgage. People do this because it gets them better interest rates and thus lower monthly payments, and the bank gets less out of them. I think no matter what your societal status, you should not lie to your bank about your mortgage.
Never seen people support crime like this. This is insane. Alleged crime, let's call it that.
The fact is that these documents are all in the public domain and can be looked up and inspected by anyone. Lisa Danielle Cook did indeed take out a loan on a property in Michigan in 2021. She identified that property as her primary residence. A primary residence loan is a mortgage for a property where the borrower lives most of the time. Soon after her first purchase, just 2 weeks later, she purchased a condo in Florida. She also claimed to be a primary resident of the Florida condo, or at least that's what the documents look like. 2 primary residents is a red flag, for sure. But what makes it even more damning is that just 2 months later, 60 days, Lisa Cook went ahead and listed that Florida property for rent. So we can tell that this primary residence was clearly not a primary residence. Now, that said, there's definitely a scenario in which she had an agreement with the banks that they knew that she had these two properties and they wanted to give her those loans anyway. That could be the case. And if that is the case, I'm honestly just surprised that
the fact that she hasn't come out and said, hey, these aren't my documents, or some rational explanation for this alleged crime. Why is she not doing it? It doesn't make any sense.
It would just be such an easy way to rebuttal all of this bad press and all of this just stop by showing, hey, I had this agreement with the bank. One thing to note is that this is before her term as a Federal Reserve Board member. There is a question to me of whether Congress should have a say in this or whether she should get a due process before firing. You know, in a private sector job, if you committed mortgage fraud, you would not be fired. You would be sued by the bank perhaps and face other repercussions, but you wouldn't be fired from your job typically. However, most people aren't in the business of creating loans for people and ruling over the interest rates for people to buy homes. Misleading in any agreement is wrong, just on its face. That said, I think it's rather likely that she did indeed commit this fraud. We don't know that for sure, and we'll need a due process to say for sure. In terms of confidence in the Federal Reserve and the ability for the American government to pay its debts back, we're on shaky grounds, to say the least. But it really begs the question, who does care? Who does it hurt? And should it really be one man, Mr. Donald Trump's choice, as to what happens to her and to the Federal Reserve? We'll have to see where this goes in terms of central bank independence, interest rates, fraud. Have any real estate questions? I can be your guy. Call me or visit my website, TucsonTom.com. Thanks for your attention. Have a great day.